You have probably never bought an Orient, almost nobody has, which is exactly why the men who have collected for 30 years keep one in the drawer and never mention it. I rank the whole lineup worst to best, and number one costs $280. Before we start, you need one piece of history because it explains everything that follows. In 1949, this company was finished. The factory in Hino had been taken for the war effort, watchmaking had stopped, and when they tried to restart it, collapsed. Creditors, liquidation, the lot. The men who worked there would not walk away. They looked around at what was left, which was each other and a building somebody else now owned, and on the 13th of July 1950, they started again as the Orient Watch Company, renting back the same factory floor they had just been laid off from. Keep that in your head. Everything Orient has done since is that same stubbornness in a different decade. Number 12. The Capital, the Envoy, the Symphony. 3 watches in one slot, and I am not going to pretend there is enough between them to justify 3 numbers. These are the ones on the department store carousel next to the phone chargers. Mineral glass, a movement that does the job, styling designed by committee and approved by nobody in particular. They are not bad, that is the problem. If somebody gave you one, you would wear it and forget it was on your wrist, which for a watch is its own kind of failure. Number 11. The Contemporary line. Thin, dressy, deliberately quiet. I want to like it more than I do. The proportions are right and it slides under a cuff the way a dress watch should. But you are paying for restraint, and Orient does restraint better further down this list for less money. Number 10. The Tristar. Now we get to a watch with an actual story, and it is a better one than most Swiss brands can tell. Early 70s. Quartz has arrived and it is killing everybody. Seiko has gone quartz, Citizen has gone quartz, Switzerland is about to lose 2/3 of its jobs, and Orient, 20 years out of bankruptcy, sits down and asks a question nobody else is asking. What about the places where you cannot get a battery? Not everywhere in the world had a shop on the corner selling watch cells. In a lot of countries, a dead battery meant a dead watch. So Orient built the Tristar for those markets, a mechanical watch deliberately at the exact moment the entire industry was running the other way. 3 stars on the dial for quality, design and price. They have been making it since around 1971, 50-odd years. There are men in South Asia and the Middle East right now wearing the same reference their father wore to work, and it is still running because it never needed anything you had to go and buy. Why is it only number 10? Because if that look does not grab you, no specification will convince you. It is a nostalgia purchase and it does not pretend otherwise, but understand what it represents. That watch is the company refusing to follow the crowd, cast in steel for half a century. Number 9. The Defender, Field Watch Territory. Big numerals, day and date, made to be read at a glance while your hands are busy. Practical, slightly awkward. It always looks to me like it wanted to be 2 watches and had to compromise on both. Number 8. The Sun and Moon. You know this one, even if you do not know the name. Little window at 12, a sun that rotates round into a moon as the day goes. It is completely unnecessary. It tells you nothing your eyes have not already worked out, and people love it anyway. Here is why, and it is not really about the watch. There is a moment, usually around 11 at night, when you are taking it off, when you notice the moon has come round while you are not looking, and you stop for a second. That is a watch reminding a man that a day went past. Nobody needs that. Plenty of us like it. Number 7. The Open Heart. Same idea, different execution. A cutaway in the dial so you can watch the balance wheel swinging. Some people find it fussy. I think if this is your first mechanical watch, being able to actually see the thing working is worth more than another millimeter of case. It is the watch that turns a purchase into an interest, and an interest at our age is not nothing. Number 6. The Ray 2. Around $295. Proper diver, 200 meters, in-house automatic. For years, this was the answer when somebody asked what to buy. $295. Hold that number for about 4 minutes because it is going to look ridiculous by the time we reach number 1. Number 5. The Mako 2. Around $230. Same family as the Ray, different dial and bezel, same Japanese automatic underneath. And here is my favourite thing about this watch, which has nothing to do with the specification. Orient never called it the Mako. That is not the company's name for it. Years ago, somebody on a watch forum looked at the little logo on the dial, which is actually two dolphins, and decided it was a Mako shark. He was wrong. The nickname stuck anyway. It spread across forums, then across the internet, and eventually Orient gave up arguing and started using it themselves. One man, wrong, on a message board. That is who named one of the best-selling Japanese dive watches of the last 20 years. Number 4, the Mako 3. About $258. It looks better than the Mako 2, cleaner dial, better proportions, more grown-up. And it still has a mineral crystal. If you have never owned a watch with a scratched crystal, you might not care yet. Mineral scratches. Not from carelessness, just eventually from a door frame or a car door or the corner of a desk. And once it is there forever. You see that mark every single time you check the time for as long as you own the watch. Sapphire does not do that. Sapphire you can drag along a brick wall. Reviewers noticed the price climbed about $68 over the previous version, while the crystal stayed exactly the same. One of them said out loud what everybody was thinking, which was that he could not work out what the extra money had bought. Hold that. It matters in 90 seconds. Quick thing, then straight back to it. Something like 99% of the people watching this are not subscribed, and honestly, that is fair enough. You do not owe me anything. But if you have sat through 8 of these, you are clearly the sort of man who reads the spec sheet before he buys. And there are fewer of us every year. Subscribing costs nothing, and it tells me to keep making them. Right. Number 3, and this is the one I would actually put on your wrist. Number 3. The Bambino, around $200. Orient launched this in 2012 and named it Bambino, which is Italian for child because it was meant for people who are new to all this. Domed crystal, clean dial, honest proportions. Then something happened that no marketing department can arrange. Somebody bought one, liked it, and said so on a forum. Then somebody else. And for the next decade, every single time a man walked into a watch forum and asked what to wear with a suit on a budget, the same answer came back within 3 replies. Not because anybody was paid, because it was true, and it kept being true, year after year, while dozens of other watches came and went. That is a reputation you cannot buy. Orient did not advertise its way there. 50,000 strangers argued about it and arrived at the same conclusion. For 2026, they have finally done the thing people kept asking for. A 38mm Bambino with no date window at all. First one they have ever made. If you have been holding out because everything modern is too big and too cluttered, that is your watch. $200 for an in-house Japanese automatic. Not assembled in-house, made in-house, movement and all. There are Swiss brands charging $2,000 who buy their movements from a supplier and hope you never check. Number 2, Orient Star, $600 on average, up to about $715 for the ones people chase. Almost nobody outside the hobby knows this line exists. Started in 1951, 1 year after the company itself, which tells you something. A year out of bankruptcy, renting their own factory back, and they start a high-end line. Real finishing, power reserve indicators, movement decoration you want a loop for. $600. You know what else is $600? A Swiss watch with a bought-in movement and a marketing budget you helped pay for. Number 1, the Kamasu, about $280. Kamasu is Japanese for barracuda. Look at the hands and you will see why, because they are shaped like a mouthful of teeth. Unlike the Mako, Orient chose this name themselves. 200 meters of water resistance. In-house automatic, the F6922, hacks and hand wins. And a sapphire crystal. Now go back to number 4. Mako 3, $258. Mineral, $25. That is the gap. $25 between a crystal that scratches and one that does not, from the same company with the same movement inside. If you take one thing from this video, take that. Inside Orient's own lineup, the cheaper watch is the worst buy, and it is not close. Let me be straight about the movement, because I am not going to sell you something and leave the bad part out. It runs 25 seconds fast to 15 seconds slow per day. That is not chronometer grade, and nobody claims it is. The rotor is audible when you move your wrist. In a quiet room, you will hear it. But it is yours. It is mechanical, and when it eventually stops, a competent watchmaker can open it and put it right, because it was made by a company that has been building its own movement since before most of us were born. One more thing I would be doing you a disservice to leave out. Earlier this year, a reviewer found a run of Mako sports with misaligned dial markers. Not one bad example. The same fault across multiple colors, in different people's hands. From what he reported, Orient acknowledged it and pulled the affected models. I have not been able to confirm that independently, so take it as one man's finding rather than settled fact. But if you are buying a Mako Sport, look hard at the dial in good light before you pay. Here is my honest position, and some of you will not enjoy it. We are at the age where we have already bought the expensive thing, some of us more than once. And most of us know the feeling of taking it off at the end of the day and realizing the thrill went years ago, and what is left is an object you are faintly nervous about scratching. Orient never sold anybody a feeling. They could not afford to. No adverts, no ambassadors, no waiting list, no man in a suit offering you an espresso while you decide. They just kept making their own movements in a country where labor is not cheap, charging $200 and letting the watch argue its own case on somebody's wrist. The company died in 1949 and the men who worked there refused to accept it. The industry went quartz and they refused to follow. Their best-selling diver was named by a stranger who got it wrong and they let him keep the win. 75 years of quietly not doing the sensible thing. I will take that over a marketing department any day, so there it is. 12 of them, and the winner costs less than a set of tires. Subscribe, because next week I do this to a brand that spends more on advertising than on watchmaking, and that one is going to upset people.